Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome. This is Show Me the Market, and my name is AbdulRahman Gaddafi Yassin. Today in our studios, I'm joined with an advocate called Swaleh. Yusuf is going to tell us more on how to have a good structures when it comes to matters to deal with business. Today, our topic of discussion is business and law. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Karibu sana bwana wakili.
Asante sana.
Today our topic of discussion is all about business and law. But before that, I would like you to introduce yourself so that our viewers can get to know you better.
Very well. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Swaleh Yusuf. I am an advocate of the High Court. I'm also an Islamic banking and finance consultant. I work at Sky Advocates LLP as the managing partner. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcomed. When we start this discussion, we have to speak about different type of businesses because we've realized there are a lot of people, a big number, that they're doing businesses, but they don't understand what type of business they are doing and maybe some of the legality forms that they should have. Maybe as we start, maybe highlight some of the structures and business which are outside there.
Thank you. Allow me, while explaining the same, to be able to use an analogy. And I like to equate a business to a destination. A business is like a destination.
Yes.
For you to be able to get to the destination, you require to be able to use a vehicle. And in this particular instance, there are various business vehicles that you can be able to use. The most basic kind of business vehicle is something called a sole proprietorship. A sole proprietorship is basically an unincorporated company. And what I mean by that is it's the kind of business where basically all that you require to do is register a business name.
Okay.
And then you can be able to use. For example, AbdulRahman wants to open a shop and wants to go with this sole proprietorship as a vehicle.
Yes.
So AbdulRahman will just go through the process and register AbdulRahman and Sons shop, and that's basically it. And then we can go to the other kind of business, partnership. Yes. Now for partnership, it's distinctive from the sole proprietorship because number one, it involves more than one trader.
Okay.
So you need to have partners. There's usually a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 50 in terms of the law. Yes. Okay. You can have a partnership of 50 people. Yes.
When profit comes in, we divide into 50 people.
Yes.
I hope it's a very huge business.
Must be.
Yeah, okay.
For 50 people must be. For partnership, other than that particular difference, normally the amount of capital contribution is usually higher.
Okay.
There are usually tax implications as well. I'll be able to discuss further later on. The business taxes that are applicable to a partnership is different. And even within the partnerships, there are various types of partnership. Like I explained, there's just a general partnership. For general partnership, there'll be a partnership, but there's no distinction between a partner and the business. It is dependent on you as a person. For example, AbdulRahman and Yusuf decides to register a partnership. It will be, for example, AbdulRahman, Yusuf, and Sons, for example. But that in itself, in terms of the taxpayer, in terms of legal, they still accrue to the both of you in terms of liability.
Okay.
But there is a kind of partnership called the limited liability partnership that is a bit different from the normal kind of partnerships, whereby AbdulRahman and Yusuf have decided to enter into a partnership. They've registered a partnership, a limited liability partnership, but assuming for argument's sake, the name of the partnership is AbdulRahman, Yusuf, and Sons shop, for example.
Yes.
The net effect of such a partnership, a limited liability partnership, will be AbdulRahman, Yusuf, and Sons shop will be different from AbdulRahman as a person and Yusuf as a person. So that in terms of tax, in terms of law, those are two different people. Yes. Okay. But I'll be able to explain the same when I come to the company.
Okay.
And then now we have this prestigious kind of business vehicle. I can equate it to a RAV4, for example, or a V8, a company.
Nissan Patrol.
Yes. Now, for a company, a company is different from these other two kind of business vehicle in this particular sense. a company vests itself with a legal personality. What do I mean by legal personality? Means, for example, if you register a company, for argument's sake again, let's call it AbdulRahman Yusuf Company Limited. AbdulRahman Yusuf Company Limited, upon being registered, will be a legal personality on itself in terms of trading. Legal aspects to it will accrue to the company itself without going to the shareholders. In terms of also tax, they are tax specialized to this particular company, different from the shareholders as well. Yes.
Wow, it sounds so nice. Now, you know, at least we break it down so that people now understand where the categories, where they are.
Yes.
Maybe for someone who wants to start this business right away, what are some of the, what advice can you advise them when it comes to choose type of structures that he can take part in, so that for his suitability?
Okay. So there are parameters, or basically yardsticks that you can be able to use that will guide you in terms of registering the suitable business vehicle to use. And these parameters are, number one, the nature of the business.
Okay.
Assuming you want to be able to open a food shop, okay, that will be able to influence the nature of the business, will be able to influence the kind of business vehicle. The size of the business will also be able to inform what kind of business vehicle you'll be able to use. Number three, the traders or the owners. How many owners do you have, or how many owners do you intend to have? Okay. The other aspect that will be able to inform you in deciding what business vehicle you will be able to adopt is the futuristic aspect to it. Would you want to bring other people on board, for example, to contribute towards the capital? That will be able to inform you. So in this instance, using these particular parameters, for example, you have 20,000. You want to start a business whereby you will be selling foodstuff. We talked about the first parameter. You're looking at the nature of the business. In this particular instance, it's a foodstuff business. So looking at it and looking at the amount, what would basically, and you're assuming you're just the only person that wants to set up that business, you do not intend to invite any other person to trade with you. So in this instance, a sole proprietorship will do.
Is the best for you.
Is the best for you. Because for a sole proprietorship, it's an unincorporated business. So you will go for that. For a sole proprietorship, in terms of taxes that are applicable, there's really, it's very flexible in terms of the tax that will be applicable to you. In terms of the capital that will be required, we've talked about 50,000. 50,000 will be able to suit that kind of business. But assuming, for example, you want to set up the same a foodstuff business, but you want to open a very big shop, you want to involve a lot of capital, maybe you want to raise 200,000 and you only have 50,000. In this particular instance, it will be prudent for you, for example, to be able to have other partners, invite other partners to come on board so that you can set up a business, so that they can be able to contribute to the 150,000 that you do not have. So assuming you are in a partnership now, for example, because you're more than one, and because you're human beings, you have to have some form of law that will be able to guide you in terms of taxes, in terms of sharing of profits, in terms of opting out, for example, of the business. And in this particular instance now, you require something called a partnership deed that will be able to guide how to deal with things. So a partnership is an improvement of the sole proprietorship in the sense of the nature of the business. The nature of the business is the same, but now the amount of capital is bigger, and because you also have more than one investor in it. But
I want us to make it clear so that my viewer back at home can understand.
Yes.
It does not mean that a sole proprietorship it's a bad business. You can have that 200,000.
Yes.
And you can start the same business which this other person wants to try it with another partner.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's only that there's involvement of other parties that now sole proprietorship will not be able to do. Yes. Considering that you have to guide a relationship between yourself and your fellow partners.
And I feel like we should add, when it comes to matters of now eating the benefits, the fruits,
yes.
as a sole proprietorship,
yes.
you benefit alone.
Yes.
And as the partners, we have to cut it into two.
Yes.
Okay, depending with the numbers.
Yes.
Or how does it work?
You know, you can be able to use that business vehicle. Yes. For example, if you're able to raise the 200,000, you can as well just register the business, the sole proprietorship. However,
yes.
the two define this sense, for example.
Okay. Yes.
Assuming you want to go to a bank, you've been able to establish the business over time, and you want to go to a bank and secure a loan. Unfortunately, the banks look at these two different structures differently.
Okay.
A partnership will be more preferred in terms of being given a loan from a sole proprietorship. Yes. So unfortunately, those are the things that you have to look at.
Okay.
Despite the fact that you can use any vehicle that you want, but those are the considerations that you, for example, you can be able to make.
Advantages behind it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So as we move forward, whenever you want to start these businesses, you've mentioned something to deal with partnership. There's some of the documents that should be written down, maybe laws and everything.
Yes.
Let us not speak about that now.
Okay.
We should have something called we should have structures and maybe ways to register these businesses so that they can be active immediately.
Yes.
Maybe what are the legal structures and ways for me to register business, be it a company, be it a sole proprietorship, be it a partnership business?
Okay. So I can start with the basic one,
yes.
the sole proprietorship. So if you want to be able to register sole proprietorship, like I initially explained, it's a simple business structure, so even the process is simple.
Okay.
One, you need to have 5 proposed names that you would want to call your business.
Yes.
So you can be able to get help from your family in coming up with 5 names probably that will be able to be attractive to your customers.
Yes.
You will go to the eCitizen account. If you don't have an eCitizen account,
yes.
you can register the eCitizen account. You go to the portal. Once you go to the portal,
yes.
You will reserve those 2 names.
Okay.
The 5 names, sorry. You'll be able to present those 5 names to the business portal. It's called BRC. It's already a portal that has already been created for purposes of registering by the government, for purposes of registering a business name. So there's something called name search and reservation.
Okay.
Once you give out those 5 names, then the government, through the BRS,
yes.
will be able to search it from their system to be able to find out whether of these names there is a name that is unique and has not been used by someone else.
Okay.
Because the government usually does that so that you avoid a situation whereby you have business names that are similar. So they will conduct a name search, and once they find out of the 5 names, and normally when you're doing that application, you put the names in terms of priority. Okay. Assuming I have AbdulRahman, I have Yusuf, I have blah blah blah, you put it in the order of priority, so that when the system picks the 5, assuming the 5 have not been used anywhere, it will go with the first one. It will automatically pick the first name, and it will reserve it.
Because my question was why 5? I can even give 3.
No. Now, unfortunately, that is the law. According to the Business Registration Names Act, that is the requirement. They should be 5.
This reminds me of when you want to open a Gmail account.
Yes.
It as well gives you...
Yes. So all that is predetermined. You need to have the business name. They will do a name search. Then there will be name reservation. The name that will be chosen, according to priority, will be registered. And then you'll pay a fee. I believe it's about 2,500. I might not be sure, but it's within that amount.
Okay.
2,500, and then you'll get now the certificate of registration. Now that certificate of registration confers your right. You've basically opened a business.
Okay.
And then now there are other requirements. For example, if it's a foodstuff shop, there are other requirements that will be required. Can I be able to talk about it right now?
No.
Licenses?
Let us take a short break.
Okay.
When we get right back here, we're going to discuss more about that and also touch on matters to do with partnership, because I know most of people, they're into partnership more than sole proprietorship because out of finance and also profit and capital in general. We're taking a short break. When we get right back here, we're going to tell you more. Don't touch that dial. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, thank you so much for staying with Horizon TV. This is Show Me the Market, and today our topic of discussion is business and law. You have a thought, or maybe you wanted to do a certain business. Have you ever sat down and asked yourself, what are the legal forms that I should have? What are the things that I should put on the table so that at least I can see my business growing bigger each and every day? This is the place to be. And today, in our studios today, I'm joined with an advocate who is telling us more about it. He's called Swaleh. Yusuf is telling us more and more and more. And I hope where you are enjoying the show. Karibu sana tena.
Asante tena.
Yes, let's continue from where we left.
Very well. So partnerships.
Yes.
We were just from sole proprietorship. Now we can go to partnerships.
Yes.
A partnership is now an improved business vehicle from the sole proprietorship. And in partnership, in terms of registration,
Yes.
this is the process that you usually go about. So number one, of course, you've identified the partners, the business partners that you want to engage in business with. You will go to an advocate, to a lawyer, to be able to assist you in drafting a document that governs the relationship between the business partners. And that particular document is called a partnership deed.
Okay.
And that partnership deed is required in the process of registration. You will also, as a partnership, agree on the names that you will be able to use for the partnership.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether it is 5, just like the other one, but you'll be required to have a number of proposals in terms of the names.
Okay.
So those names, you again go to the BRS system.
Yes.
The government has consolidated government services, including registration of partnership in the citizen account. So in the citizen account, and by virtue of the law that is there, a partnership act and the Limited Liability Partnership Act, there is a registrar of partnership who is involved in the process of registering a partnership. So in the citizen account, you will be able to do the application for business registration in the form of a partnership. You'll be required to have those particular names. You'll be able to dictate those names. As well, you'll be required to provide, of course, a copy of ID of the business partners, a copy of KRA PIN of the business partners. You'll also be required to give a copy of now this partnership deed that I talked about. And you will go through the process of name, search and reservation again.
You know, someone might ask, where do I get this partnership deed? So do we have to look for a lawyer so that we sit down and we draft one, or where are we getting this?
There are two options. There is a computer-generated partnership deed that is within the system.
Okay.
So even when you're doing the application, the system will give you two options, either to adopt that model partnership deed that is there by virtue of the computer. It's already done. It's a general kind of partnership.
Okay.
Or the most and best form will be to visit an advocate, whereby the advocate can be able to assist you in drafting this partnership deed. And the reason why I'm saying it's better is because partnerships are different. Agreements between parties are usually different. You would rather walk to an advocate as the partners and dictate what you want in terms of the relationship that will be between the two of you.
Okay.
So yes, so you can go to an advocate, and the advocate will be able to do a partnership deed that is tailor-made for your business, that is informed by the instructions that you've given to him.
Depending with the laws and all the inputs that you want inside there.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. So once you submit these particular documents, the registrar will be able to look at them. It will be able to be registered, and now you also have a certificate of registration in the form of a business. Yes.
When it comes to company,
Yes.
how do we register a company? Because maybe there are some billionaires and millionaires watching,
Yes.
and they're thinking on how we can start a small business, you know,
Yes.
or a family company and everything. How do you register this?
Okay. So first and foremost, and you can be able to see so far, there's a reputation. Reputation in the sense of name. Name is usually very important in terms of a business, because it will be able to, yes, it will be able to attract the customers that you want to attract. So again, we go back to the drawing board. For a company, you also require to be able to come up with names. So again, you require 5 names, proposed names that you can be able to use. They're usually structured in different manners. Okay. Assuming it's a private limited liability company, then at the end of it all, assuming it's AbdulRahman, it will be AbdulRahman Company Limited. Okay. Assuming it was a private limited liability company, and I'll explain the differences later on, then it will be PLC. AbdulRahman PLC, public limited liability company. And I'm very sure you usually come across the same, for example, in the stock market. Normally for public companies, you will see something PLC. For example, Safaricom PLC, that's a public limited liability company. But now back to the discussion, you'll be able to agree on the name. You will submit to these particular names. There'll be a name search and reservation. There are also documentations that will be required for you to be able to do, and these documentations will be able to inform a number of issues. For example, the government requires to understand who will be the shareholders of this particular company. Who do you intend to bring on board? You talked about a family business. So in this family business, maybe you have a son, maybe you have a daughter, maybe you have your wife, for example. You can decide who will be the shareholders, okay? And in what form of ownership will they hold this particular company. So assuming you can say, for me, I'll take 50%, I'll give my wife 20%, I'll give my children each 10%, for example.
The in-laws.
Yes. So that particular details in terms of shareholding is usually required amongst the documents that you will be able to fill. There's also the other aspect of who will be the director. Directorship is basically who will be the one to lead, so to speak, in terms of running the daily activities of a business. Okay. So you can have a company that has one director. You can have a company that has more than one director.
I've had one that is group of directors.
Yes. You have a managing director. You have a chief executive officer. You actually have the general CEO. So depending on the structure that you want, you can come up with that. But there is a requirement under the law while you're doing this process to be able to agree on who will be the director or directors. And in this instance, in terms of documentations as well that is required, and this goes across the board, so far for all the business structures that I have talked about. You require the copy of ID and KRA PIN for the shareholders. You require a copy of ID, copy of KRA PIN certificate, and colored size passport photographs of the directors. You also require information in terms of the directors and the shareholders, their location, their residential address. You need to put that. You also require to be able to give a residential address where this particular company will be situated. You also require to be able to give details as to the nature of the business that you will be involved. Assuming it's the hospitality industry, again, the system is computer generated and it has classified the businesses according to the industries that are there. So in a nutshell, there are documentations that will be able to be, you'll be able to fill. We talked about partnership deed for a partnership. Now in the company, there are 2 documents, okay, that govern relationship within a business for directors and for shareholders. We call it a memorandum of association and article of association. Again, according to the setup for registration in Kenya, you have a model memorandum and articles of association. In simple terms, they are called MEMAT. You can decide to adopt that is computer generated, Or as well, you can decide to walk into an advocate, yes, who can be able to tailor-make a memorandum of association and article of association that will suit your instructions.
Good.
Yes. There are documentations that you'll be able to fill and sign,
Yes.
and you will be able to wait for the registrar of companies, who, after confirming everything is in order, they'll be able to issue the company with a certificate of incorporation. You notice the difference, eh? For partnership, it was a certificate of registration. For sole proprietorship, it was a certificate of incorporation. But now, for company, we're talking about something called a certificate of incorporation. But other than the certificate of incorporation, there's something important. There's also another document that is important. It's called the CR12. And that CR12 is basically a form that basically has information about the name of the company, when it was registered, who are the directors, who are the shareholders, and what is their shareholding capacity.
Good.
Yes. So in a nutshell, that's the process of registration.
That's registration. Now we have to get into license.
Yes.
Because there are some license and there are some permits that you people should have in order for your business to move or to run forward.
Yes.
You can touch on that as well.
Very well. So the system in terms of licensing in the Kenyan context
Yes.
is not really integrated as our systems in other countries, but basically the licenses that are usually required, the common licenses that are usually required is number one, you require a license for fire, okay? You also require a license for health and for food. You also require a license. It's called a single business permit. You also require another license that is unified. There was a lot, and there has been a lot over the years, a lot of complaints from business persons. Why you have, when you register a company or a business, you have to go to various government institutions.
Yes, you have to knock a lot of doors.
Yes, you have to pay a lot of money and knock a lot of doors in getting these licenses. So part of the pledges that were made by politicians in the previous general elections was that they will be able to come up with a system that is unified. And I believe for Nairobi County, there is a license called a unified license. And that unified license incorporates now those kind of licenses that I have talked about for food, for health, for fire, yes, within one. So you pay that amount, and that amount reflects for this kind of other licenses.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, those are the general licenses that are usually
one
required.
should have.
Yes.
No, I think that my beloved viewer, you should put at the back of your mind, those are the types of licenses you should have. But before that, you know, one advocate has mentioned a lot, but he has not tackled something to deal with the taxation. Because I've had some of the business, you have to submit also a KRA PIN of the business when it comes to matters of collecting the revenue for the country.
Yes.
Maybe what is the process of maybe getting these KRA pins, and why KRA pin? And I've already submitted mine personally as a sole proprietorship, as a partnership person, or as a company.
Okay, understood. Of course, tax, despite the fact that there are usually negative inclinations about tax, tax is very important in terms of running a government or running a country. So in terms, I'll start with, for example, getting your own personal KRA PIN certificate, and then I can go about now the businesses. Of course, by virtue of having a national ID, you can be able to get a PIN certificate.
Okay.
And there is a site, a KRA site, an iTax account, whereby you can be able to register for KRA PIN certificate, and it's usually free. Getting a PIN certificate is free, but now the implications thereon, yes,
it needs money.
Yes, yes. So so you'll be able to apply using your ID to get the PIN, and it's usually very simplest process in terms of getting it. But now in terms of the business, the reason why it is important, and the reason why the government, despite the fact that you have your own KRA PIN certificate, they still insist is for the businesses, for example, is because we have different kind of taxes that apply to different business vehicles.
Okay.
Yes. Now, if I can delve into this kind of taxes,
yes, please.
There are different kind of taxes. We can start with the most basic. We have the payee. Being in a business, you'll find yourself in a situation whereby you'll need to have employees. And because you have employees, there are taxes that accrue to employees. There are taxes that will be deducted from the salaries of an employee. Okay. So payee is that kind of tax. And it is on that basis that normally employers are usually required to be able to assist the government in having payee done, because there are legal implications that accrue to an employer who does not allow or does not submit to pay being paid. There is another kind of tax, it's called stamp duty tax. There's also another kind of tax, it's called income tax. There's another tax called corporation tax. There's another tax called rent income tax. There's another tax called commercial rent income tax. There are so many, I don't know. we will require another day to be able to exhaust those kind of taxes.
But before we wind up, you know, for a business to stand,
yes,
you should have, you expect to get maybe, you have to pay those people who are working for you. Correct. And so much more into a business. But yes, you telling us about all of these taxes, yes, how will this business move?
Again, as I have told you, I've just mentioned these kind of taxes, but they are dependent on the business structures that you have, and also the amount of profit that you've been able to make over time. Not all taxes are applicable to all businesses. Okay. Yes. For example, if you have, if the nature of the business or the business vehicle that you've registered, for example, is a sole proprietorship, there are taxes that will not be able to accrue to you. Okay. Probably the tax that will be able to accrue to you is the income tax. Assuming you have employees, then payee will be able to come in. Assuming, for example, you want to have a vehicle or all those other things, then there are other taxes that will come. Yes. But there's also VAT, for example. VAT will only apply to you, for example, if the amount of income that you've generated has now come beyond 5 million. So that is when you start paying VAT. So not all these taxes are applicable to every kind of business. Yes.
It depends with the...
It depends with the profits, it depends with the size of the business, and it depends with the business structure. Yes. Yes.
Remember, the bigger the business, the bigger tax you pay. That's another thing you should have the back of your mind and everything. Thank you so much, Bwana Advocate.
Thank you.
Tumezoea Bwana Wakili sana.
Haina shida.
Thank you so much. You're most welcome. And I hope the viewers back at home have understood much more to deal with law and business. And we really welcome you once again.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and at this juncture, we don't have much to add or to remove or to do anything when it comes to matters to deal with business and law. And at this point, I don't have much. I just have to say goodbye. And if you have a business that you want to implement, I can tell you, try to follow the legal structure that Bwana Wakili has told us so that your business can thrive and you can have a success business into your area, depending with what type of business you want to have. Be it a company, be it you want to do it alone, be it you want partners, and be it you want to start a company. I, as a person, inshallah, I want to have a company, inshallah. Till next time, ma'asalam.